Welcome back. It's Cold Digest Friday, exclusive to Cold TV News. Let's find out what the top stories are now in some of Nigerian dailies. I have The Guardian, The Punch, as well as The Vanguard. Okay, The Nation is also here for review, and I'm joined by Barrister UZONO in the studio this morning. Thank you very much for finding time to come.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll start with The Guardian this morning. Supreme Court stops National Assembly over amendments to Constitution. You get details of all of that. It's on the front page. It continues on page 2 of The Guardian. Exit poll result shows Cameroon will win. That's on page 5. The front page picture here shows Chairman of Bicotane Aviation Services Limited, Wale Babalaki. On the left, you have the Minister of Aviation, Osita Chidoka, and Chief Executive Officer, Christophe Pinnick, okay, using a self-service check-in kiosk during the inauguration of the Common User Passenger Processing System at MMA2 Lagos. That was yesterday. Stories on page 5 of The Guardian. APC queries style of government's transition team. SGF says no comment. Amechi Wike also bicker over handover. Any other state chief judge can swear in Rivers governor-elect. That continues on page 2 of The Guardian. Obanikoro lists ECOWAS achievements at 40. That's page 6. Kwakwazo's aid alleges 20 billion naira Kano pensions fund missing. Kwakwazo aid alleges 20 billion naira Kano pensions fund missing. That's on page 7. Aliyu gets court injunction to stop impeachment. You find details of that. It's on page 57 of The Guardian. Right, let's quickly just glimpse through the big one here. Supreme Court stops National Assembly over amendments to Constitution. At the time, there's a feeling that there seems to be a lot of complications, so shrouding constitution amendments in Nigeria. It was the same year that we had a national conference also deliberating on issues and brought out some resolutions in that light. But it's amazing to find out the discoveries made by the presidency, alleging that whatever the National Assembly did not meet some legal yardsticks. We'll talk about 4/5 of the National Assembly to 1/3 of the state houses of assembly. One would have thought that lawmakers wouldn't have easily forgotten about those rules at this time. What are your thoughts as regards this?
My thinking is, if you check the content of what they were trying to amend, who stands to benefit? If the lawmakers stand to benefit, then it ultimately meant that probably they wanted a soft landing for themselves, and then wanted to make sure that they were good in terms of having, I don't know if it is life pension or whatever. So when you look at the context in which the amendment was sought to be made, you understand that there was a reason why the presidency refused to give a signature to it. And if they didn't meet the constitutional requirement for amendment of the constitution, then it can't fly, no matter how hell-bent they are in going ahead with it. So the Supreme Court was right to have said we have to listen to everything that has to do with the amendment of that constitution. It would have been easier if they had gotten all of the requirements and then they had surreptitiously added what they wanted in it, slip it in, and then bring it for the president to assent to. It would have been easier that way. But if the requirements to amend the constitution were not met, there's no way it can fly. So it's total waste of time.
We're expecting the 8th National Assembly to kickstart in a couple of weeks. They say government is a continuum, but how does this impact on constitution amendment in Nigeria? Will they stall it, or will they have to start all over again? Are there interests that were creeping at this time? What do you foresee?
Well, government is a continuum, yes, but some of the times you have different governments with different objectives. Sometimes in Nigeria you see that you have abandoned projects. Not that the projects weren't good, but the next government might feel that's not our priority. We wanted to do this and wanted to do that, so they leave those projects to die. So ultimately, even when it comes to the constitutional issue, the amendment of the constitution itself, what's the goal? What's the essence? Does it give for probity? Does it allow for scrutiny of the budget of the National Assembly? Does it, if those things were ideal, somehow perhaps it will have been saved. But if it were primordial, intended essentially to take care of their needs and also to preclude them from, let's say, prosecution or being investigated or having immunity for life or pension for life or something like that. If those are the real issues, then definitely those who are more altruistic who want to fight it, which we are seeing now. These are what will play out ultimately. You see that these same trends have gone around in several states where governors leave immediately they're about to leave. You just grant them pension for life, and then you do certain things that shouldn't be done. And I think it's high time it stopped. And if this is the point at which it will stop, better for us.
It's all right. Let's move away from the Guardian, very briefly, and find that what the stories on the front page of the Punch this morning. Muazu at war with Fayose. The writers here, PDP chair, show proof of my relationship with APC. AKT government, governor, it's wrong to slight a party member in public. Group threatens to form parallel PDP, demands BOT's dissolution. You see on the front page picture, stretched off a National Youth Service Corps 2015 Batch A member being taken out from the parade ground after he collapsed during a swearing in Jos. That's on Thursday. Again, Punch wins Nigerian Academy of Science Award. That's on page 12. Power failure forces reps to adjourn seating. We find details on page 8 of the Punch. Businessman crushed to death during police stop-and search. Pages 4 and 5. Another day you read the papers and they turn your belly. Supreme Court halts Constitution Amendment. That's on page 2. UI students on the rampage over colleague's death. APC governors fault Okonjo-Iweala on unpaid salaries. Page 8. And Nigerian pilots file flight plans manually. That's on page 27 of the Punch. Many are beginning to talk about what would become of PDP after the May 29 handover and the possibility of having a party that used to be in the majority play opposition at this time. But what do you make of the internal wranglings? There are calls for the resignation of the NWC as well as the chairman, and you hear what the chairman is saying. He's outside the country right now, replying the Ekiti State governor via Twitter. What impact do you see that having on the prospects for the party at this time?
I think ultimately the chairman of the BOT will have to step down. Because when it comes to issue of trust, when it comes to issue of confidence, having people to work with you as a team, members or your followers shouldn't have misgivings that you are not going to lead them well or you compromised. Whether there was compromise, whether there was anything, in the civilized world, you just move aside. You step aside and allow somebody else to get in. In the process of time, they discover that they were wrong. But the main thing is that so that the group does not disintegrate in your hand. You don't force yourself on people. They may have made you, but when they discover that perhaps the northern allegiance was strong, they can infer that it was because you were in there, you didn't really care. They may be wrong, but the main thing is it has happened. Like people will say it has happened, it has happened. So now, what is the way forward as a leader? You just step aside. It's not a do or die. Like we said, even the president had to step aside when he saw that the result was against him. That's how it should be.
So you are of the proponents that the allegiance, or alliance rather, of some PDP members with the APC party was the outright reason why PDP lost in the 2015 elections?
No, I wouldn't say so. What I'm saying is that when the people you are leading don't have confidence that you are leading them well, or perhaps that you have sold out, whether you have sold out or you haven't, it's ideal for you to step aside while they find out by themselves that you didn't really sell out. But until they do, it is better that Muazu steps aside so that the party does not split in his hands. That's the only way that PDP will be able to have a formidable force to act.
But when,
as
when
the
we talk about
opposition.
opposition, we seem to look, we seem to, at this time now, call PDP the opposition. If PDP is not relevant in this 4-year tenure, are there no other parties that can also come together the same way APC did to form a formidable opposition? Is a formidable opposition unrealistic or impossible without the PDP at this time?
Well, the way I see Nigeria going, perhaps in the years to come, will become a two-party state, whether I like it or not. So I think now that APC is in charge from May 29th, you likely see most of the parties coalescing, working together to form the opposition. And you saw that in the run-up to the elections. A lot of parties were throwing their weight behind. Some will give their allegiance to APC, some will give their allegiance to PDP. So apparently, as we can see, most of the parties are not there because they really want to vie for that position. There are some benefits that come from INEC to them, and some are just content to get what they can get from INEC. So in time, those parties will fizzle out, and the real people who are really gunning for those positions will boil to the fore. They're already there. Most of the time, we see that it's almost like a two-horse race. So it's going to happen over time. Just like in Britain, you have Conservative, you have Labour. Not that there are no other parties, but the other ones are in the shadows. It's going to happen also in Nigeria. But I think when it comes to opposition in Nigeria, it's going to be very good. It's going to be very formidable. And everybody will basically be playing the opposition. That's just how it's going to be like. People are going to say, no, you didn't get it here, right? You didn't get it there, right? And that's going to be good for democracy ultimately. So I look forward to 2015 up to 2019, where there will be robust opposition in Nigeria. But this time, not in terms of much of, trying to pull down or whatever. It might be constructive and very, very engaging. Or it's going to be. We are going to have a good opposition this time.
So you're looking forward to a constructive opposition from the PDP?
Yes, I am looking forward to that.
Okay, I'm wondering where you got that precedence from, given the level of hate campaign that we got prior to the 2015 election.
No, what happened was that the APC themselves started that. So the PDP just wanted to give it back to them. You understand? That not that we cannot curse you out, not that we cannot also put you down and all of that. Those campaign of calumny and all of that. So the PDP learnt it from APC. The PDP has always been in power. A person in power does not bother much. It's just that when you are moving and then you have a fly on you, you want to, swipe the fly.
So the PDP paid the APC back in their coins.
So it was more like
just
that.
at this time they paid them double.
It was more like that. You had the presidency was always saying, accord respect to the office of the presidency. It doesn't have to be the person.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be the president, but the presidency, so that the office itself is not vilified before the world.
Let's see how
it was
plays
ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. So the PDP decided to also fight dirty. So, but I see that as we get into the real thing, that all of this will have gone off, and then we can now get into the real opposition and all.
Let's see how it plays out. Our next point of call is the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Jonathan versus National Assembly, Supreme Court halts Constitution review. The writers here orders National Assembly to maintain status quo till June 18. Sage and Posit in Gige. NAS overreached itself. Full crisis to end in days. DPR, NNPC, PPMC are sure. That's on page 8 of the Vanguard. Why our fight graft insecurity, unemployment, says Buhari. You get details of that. It's on page 9 of the Vanguard. Second Niger Bridge. Jonathan deceived Indigo, says Ohaneze. That's on page 52. It's amazing how people tend to, change sides quite easily. You recall that the Ohaneze Indigo also visited the president-elect yesterday, talking about irregularities that were recorded in the election, especially in the southeast part of Nigeria. But let's talk about food crisis. I mean, food scarcity. Earlier this week, the Minister of Finance talked about giving oil marketers 154 billion naira thereabout, and we were expectant, quite expectant, that by Friday, but you'll be surprised there are still long queues at filling stations. What way forward at this time?
Well, it's very disheartening, but it has happened. I think that the problem is that we have a bigger problem. It's going to blow up in our faces if we do not solve it. I will expect that the incoming president will do all of the fixing, because during his tenure, you will not have Boko Haram. You are not going to have a whole lot of the smear campaigns and all of that, name calling and all of that. It will be quite minimal, so you will have enough time to concentrate on statecraft and redirecting the Nigerian nation state to where it should be. I expect that he will do that. But ultimately, the oil marketers have become so powerful in Nigeria that they can literally hold us by the jugular. And what I see is that the whole thing is connected. NEPA won't give you light, and then you have to get to the filling station to buy fuel. You go with your cans, and then the filling station attendant collects 50 naira if it's a small 5-liter can. If it is 200 liters can, it collects as much as 300. So the whole thing is networked. The more you don't have light, the more petrol is demanded. The more you have to import, and then the more subsidy claims that will be required of the government. So ultimately, you see, the whole things are connected. My problem now is, what is really the problem of the PHCN? What is really the problem? Because I do not understand why in 24 hours you have light for just 1 hour or 2 hours. When Batnaji was there, there was light. I think that there is a grand conspiracy within that particular power sector that ensures that nothing worked if they don't want it to work. If Batnaji could come in, and not that power was generated, additional wattage was added, megawatts were added, but that the lights, people were testifying from different parts of the country that we are experiencing light now more than before, then it shows that there's something wrong with the system. Maybe the system does not want whoever is in charge to succeed. Because soon after Batnaji started those reforms in that area, the same employees of the PSCN fought hard against him. And ultimately they said, okay, his company bidded for the privatization of NEPA, the unbundling of NEPA, and then it was shown the way out. After that time, we have not improved. It was like a mistake that the Jonathan administration made to have removed that man.
The Minister of Power yesterday talked about the importance, how important it is for the incoming administration to continue in the privatization of the power sector. Do you see that being a possibility at this time?
Yes, I see it being a possibility, but the key aspect of that power issue is that it should be made in such a way that if you do not give light, you don't get paid. Once you can make that, you will see the light. And the privatization is good, but just take away that element where they get paid for service not rendered. And the service will be available. Just like you have the network, the telecommunications. Once your credit is, you run out of credit, you stop making calls, but you can receive. Once you reload, you can make calls and you can also receive. So I think,
I'm sure that's the innovation behind the prepaid meter. It's just that many people have paid for it and they are yet to get it installed in the facility.
That itself is the problem. The meters are deliberately made unavailable so that you'll be stuck with those bills that they bring.
And then you can have the estimated bills that come.
You get estimated bills.
On a
and
monthly
the bills
basis.
keep increasing while the lights keep decreasing. You know, the light supply keeps decreasing. So it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
Our final point of call is the Nation newspaper this morning. Presidency, APC in row over May 29 transition. Party teams yet to meet. Sabo Joda have met. That's what you'll find at the front page of the Nation. They say all is not well between the transition committees set up by the presidency and the incoming All Progressives Congress. I recall that we discussed also the claims by the incumbent administration that the APC should not form a parallel government. I mean, I don't know if there's a thin line between what is expected from the APC or the incoming administration at this time. They claim they are not being told, they are not being given reports they have requested of from some ministries, departments, and parastatals of government. One would have thought that a kind of gesture shown by the incumbent president would, if that was true enough, we wouldn't be having all of these challenges at this time.
I have always seen, at least for a long while now, that the APC likes to make heavy weather of non-issues. You wait until they hand over to you, then you can take over the reins of government. They will hand over the files to you. Until the 29th of May, you are not in power. You shouldn't be making noise. You shouldn't be making insinuating statements that have very negative impact, that will lower the esteem of the presidency as it is presently constituted.
Is there any legal definition for smooth transition between both parties at this time?
It's just gray areas. For instance, at least President Jonathan has met with the president-elect in closed doors. It's to say, okay, these are the gray areas, these are the challenges I faced, this is the way I think you should go about it. And what are your suggestions? Do you think this will work? No, I don't think it will work. It's a closed door meeting. It's like two brothers meeting and then they discuss some of the family issues that they don't want the world to hear. So principally, these things are already, I don't think there's much love lost between the president-elect and the outgoing president. I don't think. But I think the APC publicity aspect of them, they're making a lot of insinuations which are not necessary. These things heat up the polity. 29 is just by the corner. In a few weeks' time, you will be there. So why don't they just pipe low? When you do much of this talking and all of this overheating, it's like, I don't know, maybe the tactics is to try to reduce the reputational capital of the outgoing president. Maybe that's the tactic. Because I don't see the reason for all of these tantrums and all of this noise and all of that.
So you're putting the blame on the APC and the incoming administration?
I should, because you should respect that office. Because the more you keep doing, the more the other people will be energized and waiting to insult the incoming president, which is not good. You are laying a very dangerous precedent. It means that that office cannot be respected anymore. And what is parallel government? When you have been elected, but you won't lie low until you are handed over to. You want to take prominence. You want to rank pari passu with the government already in place, pending when they hand over to you. It's unheard of. In America, you don't hear this.
Barrister UZONO, thank you very much for finding time to join us to discuss issues making headline on the papers today.
Thank you very much.
Well, we'll take a break now, and I'll be joined by another legal practitioner as we discuss state of the nation ahead transition. Stick around, don't go away. Every day of the week will bring to you divergent views on news making the headline.
If people who commit crime are being rewarded with national honors, with national appointments, then where are we going in this country?
It's not about whether it was Jonathan or whether you are going to have a Buhari. It's the kind of political structure we run.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
We are talking about a Buhari who at 41 became head of state. The man did not exhibit the attribute of somebody that is strong intellectually.
So, comrade, you're saying if you become governor, you're going to bring back Okada?
Of course.
You will bring back the market women on the streets?
Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth.
On Core Digest, we bring all of this to the court of public opinion, where you are the judge.